What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. We've got an interesting video for you guys today. There is another company trying to break into Uber and Lyft's market. Another ugly stepchild, as I call them, because plenty have come around, few of them stay, if any. Alrighty, before we jump in this video, we wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Solo. Solo is the best way to simply make more money while you are out there driving. You get guaranteed earnings for just doing what you would do every single day. The app is also packed full of a plethora of other features. It is so worth checking out. So worth checking out that you can even get $15 just for using the link in the description below. If that's not worth it, I don't know what is. Take a few seconds of your time, check it out. Link in the description. Let's dive in. After a decade during which ultra-low interest rates and abundant market liquidity grew Uber and Lyft into startup giants and eventual IPOs, the rideshare model is under a great deal of stress. Even with consumers bouncing back and ride numbers way up from pandemic lows, stocks of both companies are tanking after their latest earnings. And from wage inflation to unionization and gas prices, the current economy is not one that favors their business models. In many respects, Uber and Lyft today are much more like big corporations than a reflection of any original definition of a local rideshare community. But one thing remains true. Consumers do want alternatives to owning a car and traditional public transport options. Nearly 36% of US adults say they have at one point used a rideshare app like Lyft and Uber. I gotta imagine it's way higher than 36. I would guess like 66. If anything, the pressure on the top rideshare companies may leave room for additional models to make their case. Getaround is an example. Founded in 2009 and along with Uber, an original CNBC disruptor on the inaugural 2013 list, its mission has remained transitioning society away from every licensed driver in the world having a car. Simply walk up to cars that are parked all over the street, tap an unlock button on your phone. The IPO market may not be receptive right now, but its executive team and investors are betting that the concept will continue to grow. What's happening in transportation is a slow-moving kind of shift from ownership to access. And that's building momentum over time, said Elliot Cruz, CTO and co-founder of Getaround. More and more people are looking at alternative transportation options, realizing that car ownership is very expensive. The pandemic and the related global supply chain issues, as well as robust consumer demand, have led to steep increases in prices of both new and used cars, Cruz said. That while more people use car sharing services like Uber and Lyft, more people are also thinking about getting rid of their cars. Getaround wasn't immune from the pandemic, Cruz said. From the lockdowns to the lifting of restrictions, it went through a tough period with significant peaks and valleys in usage during the past 2 years. If you think about your options when the pandemic first started, you're not going to be as comfortable sitting in a car with other people. Taking rideshare or in public transportation, the options if you didn't have a car were really limited, but if there was a car that you could walk up to, you didn't have to meet the person. That was one of the better transportation options available that was kind of pandemic friendly. Even as Uber tanked, it reported 1.71 billion trips on the platform during the quarter, up 18% from the same quarter a year ago, and Cruz says Getaround is coming back faster and bigger than it was pre-pandemic. Well, Getaround isn't as widespread as Uber and Lyft right now. I mean, yeah, definitely not. I've never even heard of it. He believes the company has an opportunity as it expands into more countries and gets people joining the car-sharing movement. In 2019, it spent $300 million to acquire Drivey, a car-sharing platform in Europe. Since the time of that deal, its network has grown from 300 cities to over 850 cities across the US and Europe. In some respects, its business model is maybe closer to Airbnb than other gig economy companies. If you looked at the company 10, 12 years ago, I think people were mostly concerned about even the concept of letting some stranger use their own car, and that was how people thought about especially peer-to-peer car sharing back then. In 2020, it hired a former Airbnb executive, Dan Kim, to lead its North American business and now Chief Operating Officer, and it has launched programs that sound more like Airbnb than Uber or Lyft, such as its Power Host program for car entrepreneurs. Sharing fleets of 2 cars or more, Kim also had Tesla experience. To me, it sounds more like Turo than Airbnb. I'm actually not sure I even see a difference. I guess the difference being Turo is just a car rental program. You rent people's cars. It sounds like Getaround is like you take the car yourself, park it wherever, and then people can find it and rent it from there. I don't know. Getaround has also partnered with Uber, including a 2017 program which offered instant booking for potential drivers without cars, as well as Uber Rent, powered by Getaround. Oh, that's where that name sounded familiar from. Okay. In April 2018, it allowed people to rent and access Getaround cars through the Uber app. Crew says in-car technology will help in the ride-sharing transition. If a car already has the technology to connect to the internet, then there's potential to use that connectivity to make that car instantly shareable on a platform like Getaround. Getaround is still a private company and it has raised significant capital, approximately $600 million in funding. Its financing, like many startups over the past decade, grew quickly from a Series C round in 2017 of $45 million to Series D in 2018 of $300 million, led by SoftBank, a deal Toyota also took part in. Interesting. Okay, so they've been around the block for a lot more time than I realized. The name sounded familiar. I had no idea why, but that makes sense. So they did have an Uber partnership. Good for them. So this one, you know, maybe won't be as much of an ugly stepchild as I thought, because it's technically a different model. I would describe it, it's more of a combination of Turo and Airbnb than anything else, but very cool. I might look into that myself. So hypothetically, you could start buying cars and then just have them out for people to use. Cool stuff. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out Solo, linked in the description below. And I will talk to you guys soon.